All right, I think we're live. There we go. The zero just showed up. Yeah, so normally I stream on Saturday, but I'm getting a head start this week. So there's not many updates this week. The only new items are that I finished my taxes, and if you've been following along, you know my next hearing date is on the 26th. So for this stream, for the last couple of months, I've been working on the long form video about immigration. So now that that's out, the last few days, I've just been kind of spinning in my mind, thinking what is the next thing to work on, and I figured maybe I'll just do a stream where I solicit people to give me suggestions for what I should work on next, and also in the meantime raise some funds for world domination. So since I usually just end up, I start the stream and I try to work, but I don't end up actually doing anything. So I'll just kind of sit here and chill out and talk to chat and about what people want to see me work on. It's more of a dilemma of not having. It's not about not having ideas, but more of having too many ideas and not knowing specifically what I should focus on next. So I'll just chill out and solicit some feedback from the audience. So I changed around the UI a bit for this evening to try and make it a bit easier to read. I can use up a bit more of the screen real estate since I'm not actually working on anything. Congrats, man. Happy to see you stable, in a great mood. Tonight I am drinking some tea. I think it's Earl Grey. Firefox says hi. How's it going? So I guess there's I'm trying out a new UI tonight. I changed around some of my windows, so I guess we're seeing much bigger text with all kinds of warnings. Finally, a cause I can really get behind. You're already supporting the cause. I can see your channel member. Yeah, I made my my camera view a bit bigger so you can actually see my face. We're up to nine viewers. Yeah, so I've been I have lots of Ben K sends $1. Do you have a vote for what specific type of content you'd like to see? So I've been thinking I could go back and do some of the Linux command line shorts. Those are of course popular, but they take quite a bit of time. I have been thinking a bit more about some cinematic type shorts, kind of like my Netcat one. I have a few ideas for some content on those, and I think those videos, if I did those, they'd probably get like way more views. So there's probably a few ideas that could probably get like around 1 million or so. But the thing is, for shorts videos, a shorts video, if I get 1 million views on it, that's like $60. It's about like $60 per million views in revenue for a shorts video. Sometimes a bit more than that. So there's not really a lot of revenue from it, but it brings people into the channel. So if the shorts get to 1 million views, that brings in quite a few new viewers and subscribers, and then so it's like one lead in to get people on the channel, and then they watch other videos, and that's where other revenue would come from. Of course, I also started the live streaming in the woods series, so I've been going out and just experimenting with mobile live streaming to see how good the technology is. How are you making money to pay rent? Did you pawn everything you owned? No, YouTube has for the last few months, YouTube has the YouTube revenue picked up substantially. So the my viral long form how to become a 37-year-old broke loser, that one brought in about 10 grand in total, up to today. And I have another fairly long form video that I put out on immigration a few days ago. That one's not getting quite as many views, but I don't know, it might pick up in the future. But yeah, the highest revenue month. I think November was 977, and then it went up to 7,000 around Christmas, and then it's been slowly kind of trending down. Because I haven't put out a lot of videos, but I just finished one big hour-long video that I spent the last couple of months on. So now I'm going to try and move on to the next thing. Keep pumping out content and doing things that pay the bills. So your video about third world immigrants. Well, I don't have I'll correct you. I don't have a negative view of most of those. There's some definitely good students that came in there. Of course, a lot of them work very hard, but there's definitely a need for, as I mentioned in the video, there's definitely a need for more. Just better filtering. I think better filtering for merit. There was, and even for the students, most of the students who were in those courses, I think that they were aware of, some students who really weren't pulling their weight, and there were sometimes some students who get paired with other students that just probably should not have been admitted to the program. But yeah, thank you for the $5. Good mix of shorts and long form content makes the best channels. Big fan of channels that lure people in with well-edited shorts that cliffhangs, as long as the long video actually answers. Yeah, I haven't actually thought much about that, about linking the YouTube, linking the shorts with the long form. But yeah, I guess I could do that. There's probably some. I think, ideally I really should have more. I have basically no content on like networking tools, which if the theme is like hacking and stuff, it's kind of disingenuous for me to not have any content that's related to actual the real computer security stuff. But yeah, I mean it's on the to-do list. But I think it's by like if I do an arc on that, I could produce a bunch of content like that, but to put any quality into it, it's going to take me like it's going to be another 6 months before I get to any of the other stuff. So it's hard to there's so many things that I could do, but it's hard to figure out which ones are the best to waste time on. Background analytics supports your theory. Shorts bring in new viewers first. You need to direct them somewhere. Yeah, I'm getting to a point where I actually have a decent enough content now that, if I do have something, a viral short or something, I can actually pull people in and keep them. Tireless Slacker sends $2. Finally, a cause I can get behind. Excellent. Do you have a vote to go along with your super chat? Just made $8 in 8 minutes. Yeah, that's a pretty good rate. I made the chat bigger so I can read it, but I may have problems. I'm gonna have to scroll up on it if the chat speeds up a bit. I guess I could try out my. I bought a super long like USB cable extender. So if I need to scroll up tonight, maybe I'll try that out. helping the chat speed up. I'm making orange zinger tea to join you. Orange zinger. Never heard of that. Is that like orange pico, or is that a? Hey Robert, I'm from Hamilton, Ontario. Recently came across your videos. Love them. Thank you very much for the great videos. Thank you for the kind words. Hopefully, I guess I'm not sure which ones you saw, but hopefully some of my ones complaining about the housing crisis lead to some improvements for everyone around here. Hi man from India, from Jack Sparrow. How's it going? Orange zinger. I've never heard of that. It makes me think of like something alcoholic, but I've never heard of an alcoholic tea. I'm also trying to get things up. I have no problem. Collab if you want. We could probably find something. That tango. Collabs. I haven't actually thought about collabs. I gotta get my revenue up. Through Christmas and the surge in revenue that helped me pay off all my credit card debt. But there's too many things going on. That's actually one of the reasons I was kind of hesitant to start anything. I kind of don't know what project to start because the hearing date is May 26th, and I still have to do a bit of work to prepare for that. And then I don't know what the conclusion to that is going to be. So I could get evicted. So we're gonna have the hearing May 26th, and then like theoretically the next day they could come back and say like, okay, we're gonna grant the eviction order, or they could dismiss it. And I don't know how long it's gonna take them to decide, and then so that's one unknown. And then once they decide, I don't know how long is the maximum amount of time I would have to stay. Almost a year sober from alcohol. That's good. Congrats, I'm in year 5. Excellent. My vote is more coding live streams, by the way. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably I'm sure. I guess I'll probably stream tomorrow. Maybe I'll do this tonight and then continue. I'll like maybe tally up from the live stream the votes, and then maybe start the same theme tomorrow. Orange Singer is popular citrus tea. Lots of brands have it. No caffeine. Great before bed with a cinnamon stick. Okay, I guess you know what? I don't try any fruity teas. I find fruity teas are always kind of sour to me. Although someone told me I'm probably like overcooking the. I'm using water that's too hot or something. My credit card debt doesn't get too high. Limit is only $300. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. My one of my credit cards, the limit is $1,000, and I got it when I was like 19 years old, back in like 2007, and the limit is still $1,000. They haven't actually. I think they offered to increase it, but it's still. I just didn't opt into the increase. And with inflation, that's doesn't go very far these days. First one I saw was the loser video, which I resonated with a lot. And I pretty much watched everything recent. Ouch, how much is missing? I'm not sure what that refers to. I have 45 $1,700 for credit card debt, and $289K student loan. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? That's quite a bit. Yeah, I don't know. Are you in the U.S.? I know I know the government recently passed something to reverse some kind of forgiveness for student loan debt. So I don't know if that makes it sound even more rough. Yeah, I really don't know what the government is thinking, allowing schools to let young people take out such huge student debt. It's kind of especially when people are like 18 to take out like life-altering debt. And the worst part is, like some of these colleges are not actually giving you an education. It's almost like you're getting, like, if you buy a car, if you sign a contract to buy a car and you don't get a car, then you can like sue them for fraud. But if you pay for an education and you don't get an education that they can actually make money, then you're basically getting ripped off. How have you been doing, man, with your financial situation? Also, could you delete internet, please? Delete internet. I'm not sure what that means, but for financial situation, so I'm my debt is paid for. I got all my teeth are all fixed. I think I got like $1,000 in savings or something right now. So I'm not, I'm at least I'm out of debt. I'm not. Could be better. Could be worse. Yeah, $289K. Grad school. What's your degree in? Debt forgiveness will never happen. Higher education is a racket. It definitely can be in some cases. It's very dumb now with AI teaching at such a crazy rate. Grow into such old ways. Yeah, AI is definitely going to affect teaching in some pretty big ways. I know in my video about immigration, I talked a lot about the school system and stuff, but in the aspect of plagiarism, but I didn't talk at all about like the effects of AI on the college system, and I haven't even really thought about that. I mean, that's going to make plagiarism like a million times worse. How goes it? What have I missed? I've got several super chats so far, so kind of just started. Been conversing with chat, talking about my plans for world domination. So I've got I'm kind of just deciding about where should I focus my mind next. So I've got about a month. I guess about exactly a month until the tenant board hearing. So the conclusion of that, it might be that I can stay in the place, or maybe I get evicted. But so I can't necessarily commit to anything super big. But I'm just kind of brainstorming about which thing should I focus on next. So once I get into it, it'll probably be like a bunch of time before I get into the next thing. Sam Strange sends, I think that's Australian 5. Can I be in charge of train for newly dominated world? I guess so. I was I was actually thinking of just doing a live stream test. There's actually a bunch of freight trains that go by nearby. So maybe if you guys are interested in seeing IRL live streams of trains, I think that would be kind of interesting just for like an audio test to see what the streaming audio is of like of a freight train going by. There's like a bridge nearby where I could stand kind of like right over where they go by. AI taught me more coding skills in 3 months than 4 years of undergrad, comp sci, software engineering, private college, plus international management MBA, and a more expensive private university. Wow, that's impressive. Although I'm sure the undergrad and all that helped. But I guess at least you, at least for the debt you're in a, it's not a nonsense field. You're not in like a basket weaving or something. Although I know it's pretty rough now for, I've seen more and more people posting disgruntled videos about having trouble getting a job and getting laid off. People getting a job and then getting laid off a few months later, and multiplayer for the game. Yes, that is something that I would like to add. I think if I had like I was kind of thinking of doing like another Kickstarter, but then it actually kind of seems like YouTube live streams and like super chats are actually maybe even more effective than Kickstarter. So I was thinking of maybe even just doing like I don't know, like a 20-day live stream to Kickstarter, where I just live stream for 5 hours a day, and do some kind of like value exchange where like you do a super chat to I had before like you sponsor like a block type in the game where you can like super chat to sponsor a block type and have a goal of like get a few $1,000s, and then once I have that money, then I could just dedicate like a block like maybe I don't know, like a month or something steady to just focus in on the game. Because one of the issues I have now is I'm working on it 5 minutes every week or something like that, or a little bit of time when I'm doing live streams. But then once I get away from it, I completely forget where all the code is and how everything works. So that's making my development progress quite slow. Hear me out, MQTT, Mosquito Broker for the multiplayer server for the game. Maybe I said it. I actually have some of the like networking already done. Yeah, so the like it actually works with WebSockets right now. Now I haven't like tested any kind of scaling or anything, but the main things to do are like the actual game logic aspect of it. So I need to refactor how some of the events are handled. So right now, when the client submits things to the server, it submits a like where you should go to, but I need to submit like a request, like a movement request or something. So like when you press the button, instead of actually calculating where it's going in the client, you need to send like a command, like movement command to the server, and then the server will be the one to authoritatively figure out where it's going. So that way I can resolve conflicts. So if two people try to like move into the same area, I can do like collision resolution and resolve conflicts and stuff. But yeah, that's step by step, I guess. Sam's train, #conductor. I'm building ethics guided framework of alignment by symbolic relationship with AI and complete covenant of correlated outcomes. That sounds pretty cool, I guess. I only have $389 to pay off next week. I'm debt free. I'm working my ass off to get rid of it. Nice. That must be a good feeling. Not sure how long you've been in debt, but $389 away. That's pretty manageable. An intent to move versus I just go. Oh yeah, with the movement requests for the game. Yeah, because right now you can like the way it would work right now is so if you have two clients, basically they would end up like overwriting whichever one was first would end up overwriting the other one. Robert, can we resolve the Middle East issues in the command line? I don't believe there's a command for that yet, but maybe the open source world will eventually figure something out for that. Do you believe in God? I would say I'm atheist agnostic. You cannot disprove the existence of God, but yeah, it's not a topic I think about too much. Did you ever play MUDs back in the day? I did not. Someone did introduce me to one of them, but I found the most of them were like they're all just text. Like you had to read things. Although with my terminal block mining game, there's no you don't have to read anything. It's like the graphics of the world are rendered in the command line as opposed to like a narrative where you have to imagine it. If there is a God, we'll find out after I've left. Yeah, I guess that is ultimately true. Maybe Linus Torvalds. Yeah, I guess he made the kernel and he made Git, so who knows what it'll come out with next. Was that a portrait of Kurt Gödel in your video? Yes, probably. Yeah, the one that there's supposed to be Ada Lovelace, Kurt Gödel, and also Alan Turing is one of the other ones. I hired an artist to make those back. It was like kind of just before the AI art craze happened. So those were made with love by a real human being. Linus will crash out. Start a bourgeoisie burger joint in a bad part of town. That's kind of random, but who knows, I guess. Ada is my dog's name, after Ada Lovelace. Yeah, that's the woman in the portrait in my videos. It's supposed to be Ada Lovelace. The instructions I gave to the artist were to do a study of those three famous programmers. Yeah, but I said make them look kind of anime style. So the Ada Lovelace one I think looks like very anime, so it's kind of hard to recognize her. There's also not very much source material for Ada. There's only like one or two photos of her. I think they're like portraits that someone drew. Let's see if my actions taken will help you with viewers. I guess maybe that's where the hearts are coming from. I see the heart icon coming up. So YouTube will use that as a signal to send lots of people here. I only need a few more $1 million to reach my goal for world domination, but we're well on our way there. We're at 1120. But yeah, if any of you, based on my list here, if any of you have suggestions, and I think there's probably some other ones that I've left off at the list, but these are things that that are floating around in my mind, I just finished a big thing and I'm ready to like get into the next thing. So it'll probably be one of these. Yeah, I'm not. I should probably, the best thing for monetization is probably more of the long form, but we'll see based on feedback that I get. Maybe doing this today and tomorrow, I will settle in on something. Been sharing the stream in a few wild places. That's very wild. You need a beaver signal like the Batman has. A beaver signal. That's a good suggestion, I guess. I went to Waterloo too. Excellent. It's a decent university. I'm happy with the education that I got there. Of course, it was a lot of work. I was by the time I finished, I was glad to be finished and graduated. I've been trying to write no standard library Rust embedded ESP32 project all day. My brain is tapioca pudding at the moment. Yeah, that happens. I find sometimes though that's kind of when you can make your best breakthroughs. Or like, yeah, I mean, if once you've been working on that kind of thing all day, find the next. Once you sleep it off and then think about it the next day, it gets burned into your mind a bit more. I can install Linux in Windows 11 laptop. Can I install Linux in Windows 11 laptop? You probably can dual boot Linux, but I would recommend that you do not try dual booting unless you're okay with completely losing the Windows partition, because me and several other people I've talked to have had problems where when you try to dual boot, Linux will, it'll put in a shim in the boot partition. So you can like select which one you want to boot into. But the problem is Windows will, this might even be different with Secure Boot now, but Windows will detect that and then be like, oh, this is bad. Like, we need to repair this. And then it'll try and repair it, and it breaks both installations. So I would say if you want to use Linux on a Windows 11 laptop, you can also try Windows subsystem for Linux. You might have to like go to the start menu and then like enable it or whatever. But if you just go to the start menu and then type in Windows, or just type in Linux, and it'll probably find the Windows subsystem for Linux. So you can get a Linux command prompt within Windows. If you actually want to run like real, Ubuntu or Arch or something, the next option would be a virtual machine. And then the thing that I would actually recommend most is if you have an old laptop that you don't use anymore, that's kind of slow, just install Linux on the bare metal of that computer. And that way you can like kind of keep your Windows install isolated, and that way you're not breaking anything, you don't lose any files. British people writing code, be all like in it. I'm not sure what to make of that statement. Yeah, VirtualBox or Windows subsystem for Linux is like, that's the kind of Windows Microsoft approved one. And then VirtualBox is like a program that gives you a bit more isolation. And then basically the whole Linux installation becomes basically like a file on your computer. And then Yeah, so you can even have like multiple. You could have like you could have a VirtualBox with an Arch install, a Mint, Ubuntu. You could try like 5 different distributions if you want. What is the best Linux distribution? I would say it depends what you're doing. So if you, in my opinion, if you just want to get stuff done, Ubuntu Ubuntu is what I use for just getting stuff done for like, day-to-day work. I've heard people say good things about Linux Mint. So if I had to abandon Ubuntu for some reason, if like Microsoft buys Canonical or whatever, then I would probably jump to Mint. And then there's other distributions, like if I need to use like hacking tools and stuff, then I would probably use Kali Linux, and then I would use that just because it's already installed. If I want to experiment with some like SE Linux, then I would use Red Hat. If I'm doing like embedded systems stuff, then I guess the Raspberry Pi operating system on a Raspberry Pi is what I'd use. So in my opinion, every distribution is for some specific thing, and I would say Arch. If I was a desktop software developer, I would probably use Arch. Like if I was developing one of the main packages of like a user software in Linux, I would probably use Arch. But that's because I'd want full control over like the package versions and stuff like that, and I'd probably be, I wouldn't be super angry about booting up one day and then finding out the driver for my hard drive is broken or something like that. But our Arch is, I actually haven't not used Arch in quite a few years now, but last I remember it's just too unstable. I've heard other people go to it and they're tired of just like random stuff breaking. But it's kind of expected because that's where you get. That's the reason to use it is the packages are updating constantly. You need to initialize, but also British slang for, isn't it? Oh yeah. I guess I should have read that with a British accent. Debian on Raspberry Pi slaps. Yeah, I actually I have Ubuntu installed on the Raspberry Pi, and I use that for my ZFS pool. Flatpak doesn't give you more packaging control. Flatpak doesn't it give you more packaging control to developers? I don't know enough about Flatpak to answer that question. I know I don't even think I've used Flatpak many times. I've used a few app images for things, but I've not spent much time to learn about all the different. There's Flatpak, app image, and then there's another one that's out there. I love fully advanced. I love advanced, fully optimal installation of Gentoo. This gets all the cream out, but it's the longest install I've ever done. Ever done video embedding, converting video to vector in a production environment? Converting video to vector. I guess I'd have to say no to that question. I'm not sure what converting video to vector would mean. I would assume production video processing would just involve some kind of encoding or like re-encoding the video. I wanted the latest GIMP and Flatpak had it. Okay. yeah, I guess that's one of the main use cases for those packages. The way I the video editing software I use is Kden Live, and it comes in an app image, which is pretty convenient. So that way I can just I don't have to install a ton of stuff. I can just run it from the app image, and if I have to fall back, I can just change the version number. Discrete scale into matrix parsing. Okay. Like converting texture images to vectors to find similar ones. Okay, like some kind of matching searching problem. Your video about turning down the offer at NVIDIA hit really close to home. I have many friends from Waterloo who went there. They wanted me to go, but I said no way. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, like back when I turned them down, they were not even like the top tier place to work at. But of course, if I just gone there and like taken the stock options, like I think even at the time it would have been like normal to just sell your stocks as soon as your stock options vest, just liquidate them. Nobody really knew that NVIDIA was going to go up so much. Do you know any programming? Yes, I know a reasonable amount of programming. Have you studied quantum resistant cryptography, also known as post-quantum cryptography? And if you have, what recommendations do you have for business secrets that need to stay secret 25 years plus? That's a really advanced topic. Honestly, I don't think I would say whatever the cutting edge of that is probably not even publicly known. I know there's a lot of companies like IBM is working on some quantum supercomputer for, they've done a few demos with like using like 15 qubits or something to find the prime factors of stuff. That stuff is not actually going to be impressive for cryptography, I think, until we can actually build stuff with like hundreds of qubits and actually do some real world demonstrations of like factoring some specific primes, do some examples of specific prime factoring that's not already doable on a classical computer in like within under a few minutes. And to my knowledge, I don't know if there's any public demonstrations of like really any cutting edge actually impressive quantum computing, but I would imagine that probably intelligence agencies and stuff like that, the governments and military are probably already looking into this stuff. So yeah, there's probably not a lot of you have to look into the algorithms if you want to do cryptography that's resistant to quantum stuff. You would have to look into cryptographic algorithms that are going to be resistant against that. And I don't even know what those would be, whether they be sufficiently bigger primes or like cryptography that doesn't use primes or something. But I would, to my knowledge, I think a prime, like the infeasibility of prime factoring is a pretty big underpinning in all of the cryptography that I know of, at least the public key cryptography. Of course, there's other methods, like other more foolproof methods, like you can use one-time pads for like, but that's not the same thing as public key cryptography. I've seen this man code Java. He knows that at least. Yeah, I have lots of videos on Bash programming. I guess I don't really have many. I do have some videos where I wrote some like Python script to like illustrate something. There's way more YouTubers that did like if no one was doing videos on C or C++ programming, then maybe I'd do more on that. But other people have done that much better than I have. Do you think you will try using different Linux distribution out of interest? I do use different distributions sometimes based on necessity. Right now, Ubuntu works pretty good, but if I have some reason to abandon it, then I may try out Linux Mint. If you're tasked with PQC masking for a major biz, would you choose a lattice-based vector approach? I don't know enough about quantum computing to or cryptography in general to really even answer that question in any competent way. I'm not familiar with lattice-based vector approaches. Thoughts on vibe coding trend? Lovable.dev, cursor, etc. Lovable.dev. I'm not familiar with that. I have someone mentioned vibe coding in another stream to me, and I actually misinterpreted. I thought it was just like coding with the right vibes or something, but or ASMR coding or something. But then I watched another video on it, and as I understand, it's like coding, just talking to a large language model. So I'm kind of out of the loop on that. But I know it's I know in some cases you can get like pretty impressive results. And I learned of that guy who made like a multiplayer video game just by vibe coding, by like talking to an LLM trying to get it to make the game. But the game was kind of like horrible, and it did like really ridiculous, inefficient things that a programmer would never do. Like every time it played a sound, it would like load it from the server, like Ajax or something. But I don't know. It's like the code was bad, but the thing worked. So honestly, it's I don't know what, like the AI stuff is going to keep getting better and better. So I really don't know where things are going to end up. Like we're on the cusp of something really crazy. Like maybe it'll just maybe we've seen the best of it now, but it may continue getting better. Vibe coding is letting AI take the wheel. Yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive that it can even do that much. But then again, like it can work if you're doing a game that like a million other people have done. But I guess if you want to do something that's new, presumably vibe coding would not work as well. Because if you're coding something that's outside the data set that the LLM knows about, but then again, they're getting super impressive. They're getting better every single day. Vibe coding is future. I've today programmed with a background in basic top-down game, self-generated terrain and swarm intelligence, enemies, some other edge things, and a full simulacra. Cool. Yeah, I actually have not had a lot of time to play with ChatGPT. I played around with ChatGPT kind of when it first came out and gave it some programming tasks, and there were a couple of cases where I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then other cases where I'd like keep going and asking and stuff, and it would it just was not it was not good. And I remember thinking like, this will be amazing once I can actually like load the code base into it, and then have the LLM take the whole code base and put that in as the context window. And I think we're kind of actually there are some things that do that, but I've been working on that video I spent the last couple of months on, so I haven't really even done a lot of coding recently. But I know the frontier, the cutting edge of it is being expanded all the time. I mean, in some ways, it's almost it almost doesn't make sense for me to try. Like I may just kind of sit back and wait till it stops accelerating so much. Because if I had tried doing some of this, experimenting with this back when ChatGPT came out, then I would have like done all these API calls and tried out all these hoops and stuff. But now I think there's I think even with like GitHub or something, you can ask GitHub AI. It has some AI built into it, and I have not experimented with that at all. Someone is saying you can like ask it questions about a code bases that are on GitHub. It's cool that AI coding within the next year will handle projects that I went into mountains of debt for. Yeah. I mean, for some people, it's devastating now. Some people have like raised millions of dollars in venture capital to like build all these like symbolic logic models and stuff, and then large language models came by and just like completely destroyed the entire business model in like a day. Canon A, welcome to the student here, our newest channel member. I'm done with the dual game engine and LLM hooking. You really need to test new models. It's now everyone has an edge. Yeah, it keeps changing so much. I don't have time to even keep up with all the new developments. Really amazing stuff. It's winning Nobel Prize. We are responsible to use it, so we shape it. The funniest thing right now in the AI world is Google's Gemini gaslighting people by hallucinating a real answer to a fictitious phrase. Like tossing a monkey a Camaro meaning. Yeah, the hallucinations are pretty interesting. That's it. Interesting. What does it say for that? Like tossing a monkey a Camaro. Yeah, it's interesting. Like even a few years ago, I think Google was kind of using some AI. Like before, ChatGPT got big. You guys probably remember used to Google stuff. Like you might say, like how many inches are in a foot, and then it'll come with a black thing that says like 12 inches in like big text and just answer the question for you. And I remember this is before ChatGPT. I remember there's a few things where I'd ask it stuff, and it would like misinterpret the question. It would just like confidently answer with big bold text, and it was like totally wrong. And it seems like in this AI, we're like in a post-truth world now where we've just accepted that like everything is wrong and garbage, and now we're totally fine with Google using AI to give us like totally wrong answers about stuff. Marketing and distribution is the new age. Yeah, marketing is like whenever people talk to me about like new projects and stuff, I would say like the big thing, the hardest thing you're going to face is not building the software. It's like marketing and getting people to know about it. Can you teach us a coding language? I'm not sure if it's a request to me, but that's definitely not in this single sitting. They're not a bug, they're a feature. Have you ever considered Haskell? I always forget how to pronounce it. Haskell or Haskell or Haskell is the answer to everything. Yeah, I had a friend in university who learned Haskell, and it's always been on my to-do list to learn it as like the the super pure programming language that experts use. But the thing is, the one thing that kept me away from really diving into it is it's not really used in industry, And I figured, like, if I'm going to waste time learning about stuff and learning about, because it's not just the language, it's like the compiler tools and all the stuff that's that goes behind it. Like learning how to set up all the tooling and stuff like that. If I'm going to learn that, I might as well learn that for something that, or like if I build a big code base, like other people can't understand Haskell, so I might as well just write it in Java. Java's a lot more, it's easier to find Java developers. It's hilarious. Try view. Just make it sound like it really is a phrase, and then add the word meaning at the end. Maybe it's smarter than us though. Maybe it really is finding the meaning. I mean, the AI is getting intelligent enough that maybe it is actually like, before you know it, it's going to start like it's going to start coining new phrases. Late night, Robert. It's not too late. It's 10:30. Learn to live with them as they soon are walking behind you at night. Not sure what you mean by that comment. I feel like it's now programming lost its soul. Once AI started doing it, it became a genetic thing rather than deep interest. Missed the 10 days of tech. Yeah, those days are gone forever though now. I mean, the future, the near future is crazy. There's so many things are changing so fast, like AI. Like AI coding is like that is advancing so quickly. AI image generation, AI like deepfakes and stuff, like those are like I've had at least a few cases now where like I was watching stuff and I did not know it was AI, and I was legitimately tricked. And it was like some scene where they someone used AI to like make some B-roll footage for just like to animate or to explain a story, and then I was like, oh wow, I didn't notice that was AI. And of course we get that in the housing crisis. Nobody can live anywhere. We got a massive dislocation of the global economy. Not even sure what to tell you. Negative reverb instead of being excited to be a part of the Fallout framework. Have you seen the open source local powers? LM Studio and Deep Code. I have not used those. True hipsters only code in Pascal, Rust, or COBOL. Yeah, I guess I'm not a true hipster. I don't write any of those. I actually have some authentic COBOL punch cards though. Which language do you use for coding? Coding mainly. I use. It depends how high fidelity the project is. If it's like something I'm gonna do probably several times. Maybe I'm just early prototyping it. I'll try to find a bash command that does it. If I'm doing it, if it has to be a bit more robust, I'll maybe rewrite that in Python. And then if I need it to have good error checking and something that can run in production, I'll maybe do it in Java. I'm doing things that otherwise so slow to learn. So sorry you were sad about a new language. They were doing what we always had the plan for. All right. Did you vote? I have not voted yet in the upcoming election. Have you gone through the models on Hugging Face? I've not tried out Hugging Face yet. Like a coder eating. 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 Like a coder e Coder eating tea bags meaning. Yeah, I wonder what AI would come up with to explain that. True Chads only code in Next.js. Yeah, that's I worked on a project a few years ago where I did actually I just barely started learning Next.js. Like it was that's one of the reasons I got away from the JavaScript world. It's just because there's so many it changes so much. There's new frameworks all the time, and I had of course done like React.js and stuff, and then when I got back into it, they're like, oh, everyone's using Next.js now, so I'm like, okay, I gotta learn this, and I started learning it, and then I got sidetracked from doing some back-end stuff in the project, so I never actually learned it, and probably all the knowledge I learned then is now out of date. I knew a guy who for his master's used a wacky language, Julia, and it made it so difficult to share any of his research. Sometimes it's best to stick with the more popular languages. Yeah, that's my approach. If you want the code to have value, having it written in a language that as many people as possible can understand, I think is you're maximizing the value of having it written, and that's that becomes more true when the code base gets large. Would you rather have like 1 million lines of Java? Like, let's say you have a business. Would you rather have 1 million lines of Java in that business or 1 million lines of Haskell in that business? Now your pool for hiring programmers is much smaller. But I know, in like academic, I know in like research papers and stuff for programming, Haskell is pretty popular. So in that context, it maybe can fly a bit more. Any reason you're not in the Microsoft ecosystem? I would say there's so much about Microsoft, the Microsoft ecosystem, that there's some people that really like Microsoft, but I don't there's just so many boneheaded decisions and the way that Microsoft software works, and I would say the way that Microsoft software doesn't work, and the way that when it fails, it doesn't bother most Microsoft users. That bothers me a lot. Like one example is I actually wrote an article about this because when I was teaching in course, I was telling my students to back up their projects with send to archive, and then I found out that the Microsoft Windows send to archive feature has a bug in it, and if you search for if you go to blog.robertelder.org, it's probably hard to find, but blog.robertelder.org, and then type something like zipping an Eclipse project corrupts the project. I wrote an article about this, but where if you just do right click send to archive and then extract it, it will it gives you a corrupted project, and it's because it's deleting some of the files that it supposedly put in the archive, but it silently removes them. And I wrote about that, and I was Googling for it, and a couple people noticed this, but it's not nobody really seems to mind that Microsoft just silently deletes your files. But I mean, on Linux, if the zip command or tar command would just silently not include files or something, that would be people would be outraged and angry about that. But and it's just there's millions of decisions like that, so many weird things that don't work. Any advice for OS dev? I guess it depends what you want to accomplish. So I have I made my own toy microkernel and did some OS dev stuff and dove deep into trying to make self-compiling. If you type in, if you look for recc.robertelder.org, I have a page where I link to my OS project. It's like a toy microkernel that's like around 800 lines long. And beyond that, if you're doing OS dev, it depends what you want to accomplish. Because like writing an operating system that rivals like modern operating systems, like a modern desktop operating system, is like, it's a Herculean effort. Like you can write a microkernel in a weekend if you want to, but to write like a production operating system for like a phone or something like that that can handle like multiple versions of hardware, like that's really where the value of an operating system is the like. I mean, if you look at the Linux kernel, there's like thousands and thousands of files for specific pieces of hardware, and the abstraction layers in the OS that allow, pluggable modules for different types of hardware and removable hardware and stuff like that. So you can it's an infinitely open-ended problem to make an operating system that runs on all hardware. But the basic principles, if you're writing one operating system to run on one piece of hardware, or for like a small embedded system or something, then that's pretty easy. Thoroughly enjoyed the immigration video. My feed's been infested with politics for the past few years. It's nice to feel sympathy again, especially in a calm and rational manner. Yeah, I hope hopefully some people with the power to improve and change the situation can watch that video and, if not, just to get some, I think it helps just to get some insights and real world information out there on that topic. Recall is too creepy for me to trust my Microsoft box. Yeah, that's a whole other concerning thing. Like they're moving pretty fast and loose with the AI stuff. I mean, it almost seems like they've just given up on trying to have any semblance of respecting people's privacy or anything. Or how to become a broke loser was the realest thing I've seen on the internet in years. Do you understand how deeply that resonated with people our age? Yeah, I guess given the number of comments and things I got on it, and the views speak for themselves. So clearly, I'm not the only person who's feeling some of those same kind of vibes. I guess I'm kind of the I'm the confluence of a bunch of the issues coming together. The housing, not being able to find housing, getting rent evicted, the apocalypse of the software development industry recently, and then of course a lot of my situation is self-imposed because I decided to do the entrepreneurial path, but of course there's still lots of other people that tried it and got similar outcomes. But hopefully, I think having some real world anecdotes, I think I'm still I would still like to encourage people to go into entrepreneurship, but I also think it's to talk about it it's sunshine and puppy dogs, and it's you get some money and then you're immediately a hotshot entrepreneur. People see so many anecdotes of the successful entrepreneur, but people don't really see a lot of the ones where people just kind of peter out, and I know some people who I won't call them out, but they're like, oh, we raised money and we're successful entrepreneurs and stuff, and they just kind of peter out, and then and then years later you're like, hey, what happened to that company? It just disappeared, and there's no conclusion, no wrap up, no summary. They just kind of quietly don't exist anymore. The phrase a coder eating tea bags is a commonly used phrase about overcomplicating things. Eating tea bags instead of brewing tea symbolizes a coder overcomplicating simple task, misusing tools. About overcomplicating things. That's interesting. I mean, you could almost say, okay, sure, But the fact that it says commonly used phrase, it's like, oh, that's a giveaway. That's amusing. I'll have to try out some of those. Operating system development is a rabbit hole you will never finish. Yeah, that's why, I started to work on my compiler project and my microkernel project, and I had some grandiose ambitions about turning that into some interesting projects, but the question is like, what's the finish line? Where's the goal? And how do I turn this into a money making thing? It's not really. It's kind of like every programmer's dream to work on some kind of like pure math, pure programming topic, but there's a lot of people hacking away on projects like that. But the ultimate question is what does it do? What does it produce for the world? Brendan Fraser says, hello, how's it going? I feel gaslit. Yeah, it's definitely confident in its explanation. Was that ChatGPT? Recently, I've been using Grok because I'm logged into. I pay for the Twitter Blue or whatever. So since I'm already logged in, I just use Grok because I find it's. I don't know how it compares to ChatGPT, but whenever I need AI for some little thing, I find I can just use that. That was Grok, okay. Yeah, I guess presumably, like, because you can technically just use you could write some API calls to query one of the AIs and then use that as output, as feedback to train your own model. So like eventually, you could even build that as a feature if you wanted. You could build that as a feature into any AI model. So you could have all of them just query the other ones to see what they're outputting on certain things and then use that as feedback. So eventually they'll all contain the same knowledge. Usually Gemini is worse. At least Grok couches sensors. Gemini, that's the Google one, isn't it? I think I saw something about that on my phone. My phone has it, but every time my phone asks me to use some stupid Google feature, backup files, or use AI, I'm just like, nope, go away. GPT recently loosened up the politeness and started cursing at me. I suspect it's to compete with Grok or something. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, like I said before, there's so much happening in the world now. It's a very it's simultaneously very scary but also really exciting. When we see bugs get pushed into these AI models someday, when they invert something, I'm sure there's probably filters where they filter out bad sensitive outputs or something. They're gonna invert that someday. They're gonna put an extra knot on something, so it's only gonna give you the most inappropriate output instead of giving you the most polite output. As an entrepreneurial coder, have you tried your hand at the multi-tenant B2B SaaS world? Even pouring SaaS ideas with 200 users, 50 USD equals six-figure income. Well, that actually touches on a point we mentioned earlier in the stream, was about right now the edge is all in marketing. There's countless people who have that exact idea, but the problem is, how do you get people to use your service? So let's say you have some piece of software that does something, then how do you get people to use it in the first place? How do people know about it? At that point, like if you're coding your amazing new SaaS idea, and especially now with AI, trying to compete in that world is going to be really, really difficult. And a lot of the incumbents like Microsoft and stuff, they can just so easily, like if you start doing some SaaS product and it starts taking off, and it starts getting like some amount of traction, one of the big companies like Microsoft, Google, or whatever can just immediately bring out a similar thing and put you out of business. Synthetic data circle blank. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Maybe you were talking about when we were writing like API calls in the AIs to like basically transfer, steal knowledge from the models. There's also like now that we have each country has their own model too. Now we have like the Chinese model that's like censor stuff, which is interesting. So we may even see like Chinese censorship in their models, like filtered back into our own. And it's going to be like, the models are going to be trying to like covertly censor each other. I'm loving the AI revolution. I can code much faster. I feel more like an architect managing the AIs. Yeah, I haven't not yet experimented that much with them. I'm working on a weird geometric modeling tool right now in my spare time. It has some interesting math graph theory and some group theory. I have to admit it's fairly useless, but it's fun for me. Yeah, I think it's when you're doing projects, it's good to like articulate like what the goal of the project is, because sometimes it's just to like build your own competence in like just doing projects. And I think a common mistake people make is to convince themselves that a given idea is actually a business when it's kind of just like a passion project, or it's maybe not just like a passion project, but it's like something to hone your skills and develop it. You niche down to an extremely specific vertical. It's not worth it for Microsoft at all to pursue these verticals. Yeah, I mean, even with that though, you still have the huge issue of marketing. So the question is, how do you get those 50 initial users? That's a really important question. You mean you can advertise, but then you're paying money on advertising, and if you just buy ads or something, you'll probably quickly find out your customer acquisition cost might even be way more than your $50. And then if the product is not good enough, now you have churn. So you're paying like $50 to acquire a customer. They stay for 1 month, give you $50. And you're like, okay, they churn because the product's not good enough. So you're going to make the product better. But now, how do you pay for the time to develop that product? We're talking about AIs training off each other. Yeah, that makes sense. DeepSeek's hack was pretty bad. Huge setback for them. DeepSeek, did DeepSeek themselves get hacked? DeepSeek, is that who owns and runs that? I've heard of DeepSeek, but I can't keep track of all these AI models. I feel so susceptible to radicalization using GPT. In what sense? Would create interesting hallucinations. AI kind of annoys me. It's capable of reasoning and fact-checking, but it always defaults to hallucination. Maybe to save electricity costs. I think it's also it's difficult to filter it out because it can't necessarily it's just trying to produce the most highly probable sequence of words. So it's like, I mean, it's almost just like pathological lying humans in a way. I'm starting to believe it more than I should. He tells me I write a lot. Yeah, it is kind of amusingly, like you tell it like, nope, you're wrong. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. You are absolutely right about that. Do you have any vices? I eat candy. Yeah, I made my coding skills pretty low, so I'm somewhat on the side. A few people here. Yeah, I have heard a lot of people's conclusion has been like once they rely on AI for a while, it makes them kind of a lot more lazy. Have you ever worked on software targeted for custom hardware design? Something like SoC with a group of FPGA ASIC designers? I taught a course at when I was at the college on a really specific board, the STM F303 or whatever, and I adapted my microkernel that I wrote to run on that hardware specifically. But yeah, there's that. I have done like some assembly language programming and stuff a couple times. So in those cases, I did get pretty used to the instruction sets of a specific piece of hardware. Hangzhou, DeepSeek Artificial Intelligence, Basic Technology Research Co. Doing business as DeepSeek. Went viral a few months ago. Okay, and you were saying they got hacked? DeepSeek got hacked? Yeah, that was like released not even too long ago. I'm surprised they got hacked that fast. I mean, you can re-ask GPT to fact check, and then it will correct itself. But it will take you longer to get useful answer. Yeah, that's kind of interesting that you can even ask the models stuff, and like it'll know it'll give you wrong answers, but even though it knows it's wrong. If you don't use AI as a learning tool, you'll make your coding crippled. Because you're using AI as a crutch. Yeah, I found the few instances where I've wanted to use it are kind of just like the research phase, kind of like where if I want to do something, if I want to know like how to approach a problem, I would be like, historically I'd Google it and just look for Stack Overflow answers and see what people are talking about. But AI is pretty good at like summarizing like, what are the available API calls for doing something. Fair point to think of paid advertising as a tool to scale once product market fit is reached. SEO, organic outreach, and building an organic audience can be incredibly effective. Yeah, I mean, part of the reason I'm streaming right now and doing all the YouTube stuff is because this, in my opinion, if you want to grow a business from nothing with no venture capital, this like social media stuff and becoming an influencer seems to be the most like surefire way to do it. Because once you have an audience of people, then you're like if you have no audience and you like go live, then your concurrent viewers is going to be zero. But if you just build an audience based on something, then you have someone you can actually market stuff to. Kind of like my block mining simulation game. It's like such a random thing. But the fact that there are a few people who know about that now that I can talk to, and I can try to upsell them and try to derive some revenue from that product to improve the product, and then the product gets better, and I can market it more. But that comes based on having an existing audience, which is that's the most difficult and most valuable thing to initially build. Watching an agentic cluster reason between itself is wild. Yeah, the AI stuff is it's pretty crazy. The future's gonna get even more crazier. I mean, we're already starting to see the introduction of crazy AI powered scams. My happy middle with AI is using it as a consultant. Like, list different methods for X, follow these requirements, then I cherry pick. Anything more than that, I find myself refactoring code. Yeah, I think that's the right way to use it. People just like asking like write code that does this, and then just like running the code without understanding it, and just like telling it to prompt to output some code over and over again until they get something that works. I don't think that's going to be the ultimate end solution. But I don't know. Maybe it will once it gets even better. Because I mean, the next growth phase is probably going to be when the AI starts to learn on like the transcripts of previous iterations. Like you could take the transcript from a vibe coding session that someone has interacting with an AI, and then train a new AI model on those transcripts, and that would probably give you something even more crazy. And I'm sure that's like Microsoft and all these companies are probably collecting tons of information on that now. So who knows? Who knows how fast that will converge? Mostly as freshmen, use it as a crutch, unfortunately. It'll hurt their learning capability. Yeah, the thing is, AI is getting, you can use it so covertly now, covertly, and it's getting so good. Like, to my knowledge, it seems, I think it's like basically ubiquitous. That people, professors now assume that it's basically ubiquitous, that like everyone is using AI to cheat all the time now. So who knows, like I can't even imagine like the way you would make assignments now is going to have to change completely. It's going to get weirder and weirder. Yeah. Lawful evil. I'm already out of my tea. Learning in horseless motorized carriages is hurting your ability to learn how to ride a horse. That is true. Ever since the invention of cars, people's horse riding skills just dropped off a cliff. Yeah, that's why the changes in our the world is going to change so much in the near future. I mean, it's kind of like when calculators first came out, I'm sure a lot of people were like, people need to keep doing the mental math and stuff. But the rest of the world changed so much faster that it's like an irrelevant skill now. But the thing is, like, I mean, calculators are just for, just for doing, is like one specific simple task. But AI is literally going to impact like every single facet of everything. It's going to be crazy. Like holding on to a riding crop while driving a car. Meaning a riding crop, is that like that's the thing you hold when you're on a horse? but now the speed is just too much for anyone to change or adapt. Yeah, it's I mean, I was thinking about like I talked to my parents, like they've always been pretty tech savvy, but like I think about some of my other like more distant relatives, and like there's some people that it's, I mean, trying to explain to them how this stuff works is just a, or like even in this building, there's a guy in this building who doesn't have internet. He doesn't have a cell phone. He's like 80 years old. He just like he said he listens to the radio. That's one of his forms of entertainment, is listening to the radio. And I think about like, what about when someone like that is faced with, trying to understand what's going on in the world? Like if they're chatting with something, like chatting with even something on the phone now, like to know whether he probably would not be able to determine that he's talking to like nobody has come by to warn him that an AI, a super intelligent AI, could call you at any moment and like tell you to wire, send some money or something. Like it's just the information about the state of AI now has not been effectively communicated to everyone. Do you watch Obama say AI is already better than 60-70% of programmers? That's Google, Gemini, or Rock. I can't predict what it will respond with. Yeah, about the Obama saying AI is better than 60-70% of programmers. I mean, that might actually be true, because probably, like, if you count the worst programmers, like, there's a lot of people who would call themselves programmers, and probably a lot of those people know very little. That one lady got scammed by Brad Pitt. Yeah, I think I heard about that. Someone lost like $1 million or something to an AI Brad Pitt, who was like, and she seemed like a relatively like intelligent person. And Brad Pitt messaged her and was like, "Hey, I forget what the original story was, but he's like, hey, I'm lonely and want to be friends with you." Comments on YouTube have been so bad lately. By the way, thanks. That $750 Shine gift card in our bio worked. I guess that's a joke about some kind of spam comment involving Shine gift cards. I don't know anything. I'm not sure what you're referring to by that. Brenton Fraser, you have the best opportunity to do funny. Think about the ramifications of AI agent swarms and the burgeoning agent-to-agent economy is insane. Yeah, I mean, like I think about it too when I'm reading chat now, because like AI is absolutely able to like listen to what you're saying and understand it in real time. Like you just take what I'm saying right now, feed it directly into a large language model, and some of the chats might be with AI agents. Worst programmers. If true, delete. It's hard to believe that someone with sufficient mental ability would believe such a thing about Brad Pitt. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when people get lonely, they. I mean, it's like it's a common enough scam. So, I guess for people who don't know how bad the AI stuff is now, like it is believable that some people get that one odd message in there. In a lonely place. So, I mean, some people do I mean, at like any given moment, like 5% of people are going through like a tragic life event. Like there's something really stressful that just happened to them. Like, they lost somebody close to them, or there's some kind of thing they've got a health scare or something. And I think most of the people who get caught up in those scams have recently had something bad happen, and they're like, oh, this is the only thing I have to latch onto right now. I swear I'm not an AI agent. I'm human. Just what an undercover AI agent would say. It could, but it could also say something even more convincing. I eat bites for dinner. That sounds like something an AI would say. AI agent won't be able to swear. I think I'm good. Why wouldn't it be able to swear? That someone else was saying that the latest, I think ChatGPT or Gemini was starting to swear now. I probably chat with an AI Brad Pitt for a few days, just for funsies. Yeah, supposedly there's lots of people who are like talking to like AI. They're like dating AI boyfriends, girlfriends. Personally, I find that kind of not believable. I think it seems like it would take a very special type of person to have a relationship with an AI agent knowingly. But I guess those people exist and they're out there. I'm an AI agent. Don't ask me how many R's there are in strawberries. I think they solved that one, didn't they? Mine swears at me. Yeah, so at least some of the AIs are able to swear now. Gemini doesn't work. If you write swear, or it's in Google search. Grok swears. I set its discretion and politeness settings to 0. Truthfulness to 9. Oh, I didn't even realize there were settings to tune it. I'll have to update those. Can't wait to raise an AI Tamagotchi. Probably overtrained on the strawberries problem. Yeah, I would imagine they probably did. As soon as they find one of those things, they'll curve fit it to make that to pass that problem, and then you can probably just slightly tweak, ask about some different word, it'll still do the same problem. Whoever releases an AI Tamagotchi app will be a guaranteed billionaire. The thing is, a lot of those kind of like apps and stuff like that, a lot of these will be like offerable as a service. Like if you make an app that uses ChatGPT as a backend, it's kind of like you won't really have a big moat in that business, because like ChatGPT or someone else can eventually just replace you anyway. Like ChatGPT could just, shut down your API calls and then, add that Tamagotchi app feature directly into ChatGPT someday if it actually gets popular and profitable enough. Ask about mayonnaise. Not familiar with that one. Number of N's in mayonnaise. Template to the problem. Guys, we gotta solve strawberry problem. It cost us $130 billion in market cap when the stock market opened. Did it actually go down that much? I'm gonna go make a new tea. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. You can ask some questions and I'll answer them when I get back. All right, tea is cooking. What do you guys want to ask him when he gets back? What's the difference between a Canadian PM and a French president? I don't know. Let's conspire. You describe platform risk. But by then you've made 1 to 2 million. You could live off dividends and capital appreciation for retirement. Describe platform risk. What do you mean that about our earlier conversation about the like focusing on marketing, or the conversation we had maybe 30 minutes ago, or was that about like AI models? Yeah, diffusion models, like, so on, but for human thought patterns. I don't know, how do you get the input data though for human thought patterns? And what does the output look like? Let's go Black Mirror all the way. Only just started the new season. Yeah, I have not watched a single episode of Black Mirror. One was a school teacher, married his peer. Other married his school teacher, 25 years his senior. Is this like a puzzle or a riddle or something? Oh, you're referencing the Canadian PM, French president. Oh yeah. I vaguely remember something about reading something about that about the French president. I watched the first two this season. Both were all right. Yeah, I try to. I've actually never watched Netflix. I try to keep myself focused on programming, productive activities. The last few years have been chaotic. My tea is probably about ready. Can you dig into that more? Avoiding distractions like Netflix? Yeah, pretty much like all of the major television series. Like, remember back when I was in school, there was the show Lost. Everyone talked about that and talked about how great it was. And then Breaking Bad was the next one. I've never watched an episode of Breaking Bad before. I guess what I do waste a lot of time on is YouTube content. I'm on YouTube quite a bit. That's kind of taken up the space that would otherwise have been filled by shows. Netflix watching is productive within reason. Staying tuned to the cultural zeitgeist. Yeah, the thing is, the landscape of content is flattening out a lot though now. Like back in the 1990s, like everybody watched. There was like a few good shows that everyone watched, but nowadays there's like hundreds and hundreds of different like content niches that people get into. I think I heard like a school teacher saying that it was a challenge to find one movie where like more than 40% of the class has actually watched that same movie, like a movie or a show. Devs, Black Mirror, Love and Death, and Robots are the three most important shows to watch for coders. Yeah, Black Mirror, I've heard of that. Love, Death, and Robots. Never heard of that one. And same as Devs. Never heard of that one either. Interesting. I'll probably never watch them. Let's see, should I do some block mining simulation game maybe? Each episode is self-contained, so you don't need to watch the entirety of the show. Yeah, there's too much stuff to do in the world today. There's too many ways. I remember Netflix saying that their competition, one of their main competitions is sleep, because there's just not enough. People don't have enough hours in the day to consume all the stuff that's out there. I keep finding really new, interesting YouTube channels and stuff, and a lot of their content doesn't have high view counts, but it's just like there's too many of them. I can't even myself, I can't watch them. Don't become the future apartment guy. Only listens to radio. Still programs in Rust. Yeah, I mean, that guy who lives here and listens to radio, he doesn't even program in Rust. Have a good night to Canon A. And thanks for the membership. Yes, there's a Discord that some people have joined. There's a link. There's a community post for members with a link to it. Not sure what to make of that piece of code there. What they're doing, it's doing a 32-bit. It's doing an OR with. See, is that a pipe? It's doing a shift or something. I only send texts via carrier pigeon and program in C. I haven't programmed in C in a while. C makes sense when you're doing stuff directly with hardware. If you're doing anything with string manipulation, I think it's the wrong choice. What are the alerts for? CMake 4.0. I haven't done much building of C projects in a while. There's so much stuff, so much development work in like C programming and make files is so like tedious and error prone. It really makes me wonder if this new AI wave is going to like completely revolutionize all that stuff. Like I could imagine something where some new AI model is going to figure out how to make files and also like inspect the dependency tree and so many hours wasted trying to get make files to work. Joking for the record, I despise Rust. Most everything I code is C-based. Interesting. What do you mostly work on? Cryptographic security. Interesting. Yeah, that stuff is cryptography is difficult. It's one of those things where it's a lot like statistics, and you can get very close to the correct solution, but you can like this. I don't know how many bugs there are in all kinds of like open source crypto projects where they're sourcing like entropy the wrong way. And so they have a dramatically lower entropy pool, and nobody ever tested this. So they've been like insecure for years. Or like where some tool generates a private key, and it always gives the same private key. And of course, there's all the super crazy mathematical tricks with like prime factorization. If you know everything about the Euler-Totient function, then you can figure out how to completely break open some cryptographic algorithm. Same private key for everyone. There's been a few high-profile issues like that. I think there was one with SSH where it was There's a dramatically lower entropy pool. C is overrated. It has its use cases. I do get into cryptography work. I would imagine the number of people who write cryptography for money is relatively low. I guess maybe it's I'm curious if is it an open source project? Step 1, lots of math. Step 2, men in suits. Okay. So it's that kind of thing. Yeah, I have a suspicion that like all of the open source crypto stuff is garbage. That seems to be how it I'm always reading on Hacker News about how some open source crypto project is like it's been total garbage for years, and nobody qualified came in to fix it. Don't forget your ability. Don't forget your vibe coding badge by exposing our private keys and publishing your end file to GitHub. Yeah, that's a whole new dimension. Vibe coding with anything to do with security. I'm sure there's like I wonder how many cases where you can just ask an AI model for like a password and it's like, here you go, and it's the right password because it ingested some someone's environment file somewhere. Find like a simple RSA CDF challenge just for fun. Not really looking into formal math education. Real crypto with all the the fancy math and stuff, like all the field theory and stuff. That's pretty interesting stuff, but it's like a whole lifetime of stuff to learn. My originally I was thinking, before I went into software engineering, my first thought was to go into pure math, but I decided to go into software engineering because I figured the job prospects would be better. Not a coder, but play one on TV. That's close enough, I guess. What is this mining game about? This is basically all it is. It's just run around the screen and spam the M key and mine the blocks. I have future ambitions to add more features into it, but takes time and money and development. Hence the reason for raising funds for world domination. I think the last thing I was working on was getting it to build in the IDE. I think I figured that out within the last few streams that I worked on this. So I think the next thing I need to do, so I added a feature for frames. So I think the next thing I was going to add that I haven't gotten to is resizing the windows. How can we play the game? If you are a channel member, so if for the license to legally play the game, you have to have contributed at least $1 historically at any time to me in a super chat or membership or anything. That's the game's license. And if you check, I think it should be in the description for this stream, you can find the source code for the game and also the license. Pure mathematicians are geniuses guiding coders nowadays. They control the cutting edge of both encrypted communications and PQC. Yeah, there's I guess mathematicians. There's interesting stuff you can do in math, but at the same time, you can't necessarily some of the, I think the algorithm development and the knowledge about like quantum mechanics doesn't necessarily follow from the mathematics. We need to do the physics first before we can tease out the mathematics, and then we can build the mathematical models. I had an idea for an app that helps SaaS companies to easily convert their existing public APIs to MCP servers to capitalize on the coming wave of AI agent tool use. Yeah, I mean, like realistically, for something like that, the app itself could basically just be ChatGPT. Like I think right now you could probably just take an API spec and just throw it into ChatGPT and say like, I forget the definition of MCP server, but you can probably just say convert this to an MCP server, and it'll spit out something. Yes, applied maths. Historically, I guess it was exactly that. I mean, the like programming departments. It used to be the mathematics and computing department. They were like kind of inseparable. But I don't know, like modern development, like all the JavaScript app garbage. I think that's pretty far from anything to do with. It's pretty far from mathematics, any kind of pure mathematical theory. It's almost like we've gone backwards. We're getting even further away from the hyper pure, like theoretical programming models of the 60s and 70s. You think a person can get into doing paid cryptanalysis work without a formal math background? I guess when I say that, I imagine more implementation problems than novel research. Probably. Like the type of person who would do cryptanalysis. I mean, your best bet is probably with a formal education, or formal math background. But the type of person who I would expect to be really good at that would probably be someone who would just like learn it on their own and be some kind of eccentric genius. But then the question is like, how do you market yourself and get to the right people? Like, there's not a lot of, I think the market for people who pay for cryptanalysis is pretty small. It's like intelligence agencies and governments and check out EGA, EcoMaster, DOS game. See, people keep mentioning games. I'll have to write this one down. If I remember, I'll check that out. No, nearly impossible. I guess if you're in the industry, then you'd know better than me. Just saw your video on immigration situation in Canada. Just you where I live and wanted to say, I really appreciate the depth of analysis, the systemic and even societal angle. Yeah, hopefully somebody in a position to improve the situation will watch that video, and if not, just to inform the public about the situation, so so that the public can demand an improvement on the right angle. I think one of the reasons we have bad policies is people just aren't aware of what's really happening. Unless you want to be red team and just pen test all day, if you're an actual good hacker. Yeah, I don't know much about the economics and best way to get go down that career path. It's one thing to talk about how to become good at something, but it's another thing to talk about should you become good at it? Is there a market for it? And where do you find the market? Because the number of people who are doing cryptanalysis stuff is going to be pretty small. AmpIdea install a real-time predictive analytics script on a website. Predicts likelihood of visitors to convert based on behavior, referencing source, number of visits, scroll depth, and then serve content. I mean, that already exists. Marketers are worlds ahead of you for that. You look like. And the other thing is script. The server side has more information than the front end. So a lot of the most advanced versions of that are all server-side stuff, or at least they also additionally leverage server-side and also the sessions and talking to a backend database. You look like the singers in the "We Are the Robots" music video. Yeah, someone else commented that exact thing, and then that Kraftwerk video. And I was like, I never heard of these people, and I Googled them, and then for a few days I ended up listening to that music video. I guess it also depends on what lens I use too. The impact of the type of photographic lens you use has a big impact on how your face looks. That's one of the reasons for the last few videos I tried using that same perspective with me in front of the whiteboard, because like for the kind of brand recognition and recall, like if people saw my 37-year-old broke loser video, that's where a lot of people came in at. And if they saw that video, if they see like a different video with a different perspective, like a different lens, or like I'm wearing a different shirt or something, then they're like, who is this person? Good song. It's okay. I guess it's a super old song. A lot of people in the comments were like, "Wow, these people basically, they were the pioneers. They invented electronic music." The music video is like comically bad. It's just like a bunch of guys pretending to be robots, like marching around. It's honestly pretty funny. But I guess at the time it was probably like state of the art. What is the goal of the game you're playing? The goal of the game is to mine all of the blocks, but there are an infinite number of blocks in the game. So it will take a very long time to mine all of them. If you want to red team, recog, build out a dark web presence on one of the hacker forums by approving the ability to crack raw MD6 hashes consistently. Yeah, that's a world that I don't know much about. I try to stay off of the dark web. I would imagine those environments have there's probably tons of like 0 days and stuff on all those dark websites. What's your next idea in terms of an entrepreneurial venture? I mean let me go back to the so the next thing is going to be working on some content for something. So that's why I figured I'd do this stream. I've been thinking about I just finished the immigration video. That took a long time. I think for the next video I need to put less work into the script and just get stuff out faster, but probably the next entrepreneurial thing in the next little while will be some kind of content. And I've been going back and forth in my mind about, I could do some shorts. It'll be maybe like, a few days to get one done. I could do maybe like a cinematic one. I don't know. I have lots of ideas for them. And then, but I could also do some long form content. I could do some coding streams. I could do some more IRL streams. Like the IRL streams take basically like no work, but the thing is like, I did the other one walking around, went down by the river, just it's fun to test, and it's like I can talk to anyone who's super interested in talking about Linux or whatever. I mean, it's just like I think it seems like social media these days is like there's like multiple facets. Like the live streams serve a different function from the shorts, which serves a different function from community posts and so forth. So I figured I'd just do this. I have the time. I decided to just do this stream tonight to get some feedback and discussion on it, and maybe raise some extra funds for my world domination plan. Shorts are what I sub for. Yeah, I would like to get back to doing some of those, but they take quite a while, and they basically make $0. I don't even know if I can really afford to do any more of them. Do you think we have a crisis when QC become viable? Maybe 20, 30 years from now on? I mean, I think we'll probably have even more crises even before that. I think AI is going to change things before probably quantum computing really ramps up. ODEs cost $100 or thousands or millions if they're a major app OS. Peons can't afford those. Stay closely guarded. World domination by force versus invitation. Do you mean my plans for world domination? It depends how much money I raise. No more shorts. I don't want to say no, but the thing is like that last video, the last video on immigration, that I spent like basically a good solid 2 months working on that. Now I was thinking if I do more videos like that, I should probably buy a teleprompter. But the thing is, I don't have a ton of, even right now, like my credit card debt's gone, and if I can bring in more money, then I can reinvest that in making more content. But I have to be, strategic on what I waste money on next. I did take some of my money and bought a second camera, so that allows me to produce more content faster. So that way I have my streaming setup. I can just have that set up right now, and then I don't have to disconnect everything and we change the focus on the camera and so forth. World box domination. World box. Not sure what you mean by that. Quit paying rent and become a serial squatter. Works for me. But I gotta not destroy my credit rating. I mean, I might not even have a choice. Even with paying rent, I might still get evicted. That's the other dimension too. Is there are some things like if I could get more into a pattern. If I just I have no idea what's going to happen after the 26th. What I kind of feel that is probably going to happen is they're probably going to rule that like the existing N13 eviction is like not valid, like that the one permit they got can't apply to everyone, and they're probably going to say now you have to get individual permits, and then they'll just do that. So maybe like probably Christmas or something, they'll probably file for another permit. What's the bottleneck? Your IT production most? Ideation, research, production. For the immigration video, that one was a difficult subject to cover. So the script writing, I probably spent about a month writing the script for that, And I would say most of the script writing time went into making it shorter. So there's a lot of stuff where I'd write it down, kind of like just put down the ideas and facts and information I want to convey. And I think about like how do I explain this with like short, brief sentences. So it's like if I had done less work on the script, that video would be like 6 hours of rambling, and it'd be like repetitive and stuff. And I think, nobody wants to listen to 6 hours of kind of rambling. It's much more effective to convey all those ideas if I can just condense it. So that's where most of the script working came from. I started filming. So I don't have a teleprompter. I print out a script and then I read I can read maybe like a couple sentences at a time, speaking to the camera. If I had a teleprompter, I could probably maybe go on for a bit longer. But I've spent so much time working on it that usually, like if I mispronounce something, I'm like, okay, I'll just pronounce it again so that way if I fumble my words or something, I'm like, I'll just go back and say it one more time. But also because I don't have a teleprompter, I forget my words. So the total recording time was 20 hours for actually saying out the whole video. And then that edited down to the 1 hour and 15 minutes or something. So yeah, I'd probably get when I was filming it, I would do filming. So it'd take me like maybe 1 to 2, maybe 3 hours to film, and then I would do the editing that same day. So during I'd probably get maybe like 5 to 7 minutes of video produced per day, which is probably like if you compare, like if people do one video per week, that's like a 12-minute video on a video essay or something. I probably could have produced that pace, but I think for that topic, I also wanted to cover it in one video. I didn't want to have, because if I start making multiple videos on immigration, then everyone's going to be like, hey, make more videos complaining about immigration. So this way, there's all my thoughts about immigration are in one video, and I never have to cover it again. Worldbox is best God simulator in sandbox game. Interesting. You've got some balls, man. Mad respect. I guess for covering that topic, or GTG. See you next time. See you later, Brandon Fraser. Have you tried using AI to speed up script developments? In my opinion, this, like, AI is exactly what I do not want to use for writing the script, because the script is what I want to convey in that video. Most of the valuable part of that video was my own experience, and if I use AI can't reach inside my mind and like figure out the script. I mean, I guess I could, if I wrote out a much longer script, I could use AI to like summarize it, or like kind of like give me feedback on like how to word things and stuff maybe. But I don't know. I think AI is getting good, but it's still bad enough that I think at this point, and also like, I don't know, I feel like if I start using it, it'll make the quality go down. And for now, I think it doesn't make any sense for videos like that anyway. I mean, it is a niche where some people are doing very well by just like you can make a whole business model of just go to ChatGPT and say like, hey, write me a script for a YouTube video about like using AI to write programs or something like that, and it'll write a video essay on that, and then you could just put that in a teleprompter and say it and send it off to the editor, and you could produce like 3 of those a day or something, and that might make some decent money. But I find there's too much of that content on YouTube, and it's not good. Wonder how long Tom Scott to reach a point where he can do a single cut video. Yeah, I find that I mean, even when I watch my live streams back, I'm like, I pause way too much. I say the word like too much. There's too much, too many filler words, too many pauses and stuff like that. So it's, I have to be a lot more deliberate. Like it's just the way I talk. And for a long form video, I find it, if the video does well and it gets like that, you know, if it gets like 1 million views or something, I might as well try really hard to make it good. Not sure exactly what your setup looks like, but can you use your laptop screen as a teleprompter? One issue is like I want to be like actually looking at the camera, because it actually does kind of look weird on video when you're not looking at, if I'm like looking off in another direction, like saying things. So I want to be like, I want the camera to actually look like I'm looking directly at it instead of like looking off at the side. So I looked into it a bit. You can get like teleprompters, like just a semi-transparent teleprompter thing you can use to put in front of the camera lens, so you can actually like look directly at the camera lens and read. But I haven't, I don't have the money for it, and it's I'm not far enough along in it. But if I do more of those, then maybe I would. I might. We'll have to see. If I do more long form videos, I might just try putting less effort into them. But for the immigration one, that's a top. You know, it's a difficult enough topic and an important enough topic that I figured I put a lot of effort into that one. And also, I got sick halfway through making the video, which you may notice if there's a point where my voice changes completely. Your complexity time on making videos sounds like in the power 2 instead of n. I guess what's n in this context though? There's softwares that let you do that, but reading too much from the teleprompter isn't good either. The script will sound too generic. Yeah, I want to set the bar low, so I can. I don't know. I may change my mind at the last moment. But it's still interesting to just get the feedback. I might as well, if I'm gonna go on another arc, kind of go down another rabbit hole. Like if I end up working on the block game a bunch. It's much easier and much more productive if I can focus on one thing and then just kind of get more and more into it and develop a pattern. And if I do that for 6 months or something, then 6 months has gone by. Totally agree, but we could speed up refinement, consolidation. Honestly, just want to see you be rewarded financially. YouTube rewards frequent publishing, so speeding that up is imperative. Yeah, I guess one thing is the distribution for a lot of my videos has been like, some of them seem to get like there's a lot of channels I've seen that where they're publishing one video every week, and they're getting like this all the same number of views approximately, but their most viewed video is like way less than my most viewed video, but my like kind of average views is way lower, but the max view is like way higher. Like I have those few videos that get 10 million or 1 million, so that might just be kind of how it works out. I don't really think I have the I don't really think I'm capable of doing the like kind of rapidly churned out content, because the worst part of that is like if I start doing that and then it doesn't pop off well, like some of that content is actually kind of embarrassing. Like they just, poorly constructed rant videos, and it doesn't add much to the world. I don't think it's going to have a lot of longevity long term. I think the content is also too kind of like an advertisement for everything else that I'm about. Raise some funds for a toupee, bro. Don't want to stare at that egghead. Well, you're welcome to send that in a super chat if you want. I reserve the right to spend it on something else. You can do deadpan humor pretty good. Remind me of Casually Explained sometimes. Yeah, people seem to like the humor component, so I will continue to make that a theme. GoFundMe for a trip to Turkey. Why would I go to Turkey? Red Fedora would be pretty nice too. I already got one of those. Have you ever played the Hitman series? You sound and look exactly like Arthur Edwards. I have not played that game, and I've not familiar. People always say that I look like Nico Bellic from what is it? Grand Theft Auto, I think. I guess it also depends on which lens I'm using. This lens is on this lens my face looks a bit kind of like flatter, but with the other with a couple of my other videos, like some of my most recent few in the front of the whiteboard, I'm using the fisheye lens, and so it kind of makes my compresses my face, and I'd say honestly it does kind of make the shape of my head look a bit more like Nico Bellic. Cosplay him? Yeah, I guess I'm kind of lucky that I'm kind of lucky that my doppelganger characters are someone like dignified. You can't really choose who you look like, so I'm glad that I don't look like some kind of embarrassing figures. I'd much prefer the kind of like bad guy, super tough guy cosplay, as opposed to like some kind of silly character that's like a mockery. Robert is my favorite world dominator. What's up, Robbie? Not too much, just playing the block mining simulation game, raising some funds for world domination. Hey cousin, let's go bowling. Yeah, I googled him. That's a thing he says a bunch. That's his catchphrase. I don't know. I don't quite know the context on that. Do a red shirt, Rob. I do have a red shirt somewhere. What do you think of Intel and the trouble it's in these days? I'm not sure if any, like the most recent trouble, but I know they had a bunch of their CPUs were a while ago. They had a bunch of defective CPUs and stuff. I guess it's part of the late stage companies that are they're too used to extracting profits and kind of slacking off on quality. I think he's implying like Jeff Yearling's red shirt, Jeff type of content. I'm familiar with Jeff Yearling. I haven't watched any of his content in quite a while. I'll have to look up the red shirt reference. Speaking about an alter ego kind of character. Red shirt Jeff. I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to look that up. In the game, your cousin, Roman, calls. You quite often go bowling. The game lets you do activity with friends, family like bowling, drinking. Okay. I try to avoid, just like I try to avoid watching TV, try to avoid playing video games. There's so many things you can waste your time on. I've heard rumors about 20% cut in the workforce. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me these days. Intel stock in the toilet on revenue miss. Yeah, the place to be is NVIDIA. Who knows, maybe NVIDIA is going to replace Intel. I've heard some bad things about that, like the treatment of like working there is apparently not great. Lots of like some of the old guard that really knows how things work, they laid them off. And NVIDIA getting in CPU market would be crazy. Yeah, I mean, I can't see. Like, if you can make a GPU, surely you should be able to make a CPU. And they have the money for it. They're like the. I'm not sure how does NVIDIA compare to Intel and market cap now? That's where all the investment dollars are going. Didn't know Intel had fabs in Israel. Don't like that. Actually work for a semiconductor giant. And I'm going to quickly check if my employer has also has those. Aren't NVIDIA and AMD CEO distant cousins? Yes. That's from what I remember, yes. I also thought that was an interesting coincidence. I think I'm not sure if it's first cousin, but it was like I don't know, second or something. Apple got into the CPU market and GPU market. Nvidia has more market cap than Apple. Yeah, I mean, if Intel starts to go down the tubes, then Nvidia could come out for blood. That would be interesting too, because at least for like the consumer market, I would imagine if Nvidia started making CPUs and motherboards and stuff, they could like totally integrate the whole pipeline to work with their own video cards better. Because right now I'm sure when Intel makes their CPUs, they don't really think about like optimizing it so that it works for all the esoteric stuff in the video card. What's funny, I have World Domination written on my to-do list on the fridge. Oh, excellent. We are great minds think alike. I feel like there is no immediate reason for Nvidia to jump into the CPU market, since AI is all about GPU. Yeah, but if there's some kind of power play thing they could do, or maybe like if Intel does bad enough, Nvidia could just like buy Intel. That would be an interesting. Like once a company gets powerful enough, there's all kinds of interesting things that could happen. Do you hear about Google antitrust case? They were found to be a monopoly. The hearings to propose remedies start in early May. OpenAI and Yahoo have already expressed interest in Chrome. Yeah, I think Google's been found to be a monopoly on like multiple occasions. I don't know. I think in the short term, there's probably unlikely to be substantial changes for the average consumer. OpenAI buying Chrome would be cringe. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, the world could actually look quite a bit different with so many small things happening. Like, if NVIDIA bought Intel, that would change things a lot. If OpenAI bought Chrome and just filled it with like ChatGPT garbage, man, that could be awful. And then they would add something to like basically steal. So every web page you visit, it'll just steal all the content and put it into the machine learning model. Like back in the day, I wrote all these blog posts thinking like, oh, this is my own intellectual property and I'm going to be able to like kind of own this, and people can't steal it. And like now it just seems like anything written is like free to be stolen. And I think all my blog posts are already like in all these AI models and stuff now, and I have like zero choice in saying this. I think the way they do it is they just kind of proactively steal it and put it in their model, and then like you can submit a ticket or something to have it removed manually, but there's like 5,000 of these new AI models, and doesn't look like my employer has Israel fabs, just an office. Yeah, fabs are, I think like semiconductor, you can make a small scale semiconductor fab pretty easily. Like, I think any a university lab can have a small scale fab. Most of them do. Like you can have like manual ones, but the ones like the TSMC scale ones are kind of one of a kind. But I don't know, I guess some of those are maybe coming to the US. From what I understand, I think a lot of the high-end, the high-tech the super high-tech development of CPUs has always been domestically in the US, and then like the small-scale prototyping, and then they would outsource the like high scalability stuff to somewhere else where the cost is lower. You won't be able to access internet at all if the bill passes. That's not good. I think I heard someone say it best. It's all fun and games when you're using AI to make Peter Griffin say poop butt. Big tech. IP on IP. I guess that's probably their motto. I watched your most popular video and I set up a fab in my home office. Excellent. That was exactly what I wanted people to do after watching that video. I just want to remove a bit of training data from an already trained model. Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, they probably just like tell you that they took it out or something, and like maybe the next time they train it, they just omit that. Or they've like I doubt that they respect any of that stuff at all. It's almost like we're the thing is, it's almost like we're entering an age where copyright is like unenforceable now. Because even if you do have a trustworthy model, you remove that stuff. Like eventually, these models are all going to interact with each other. Like the Chinese model is not going to respect our own IP laws. But then our own models, like Western models, will learn things from the Chinese models. So there can be like, indirect data passed between them, and it won't be like in an obvious way. So yeah, just one more way that AI is going to totally reshape everything. Every item you upload using OpenAI Chrome will be a property of OpenAI. Yep. I mean, that seems like what Microsoft wants to do with their whole Microsoft recall. They want like every single thing that's printed and typed on your computer is now a property of Microsoft. So if you're like a lawyer working on a legal case or something, everything you type is property of Microsoft. The only way I can think of doing that is by having some kind of wrapper over the AI interface so it doesn't show knowledge. The blog post you ask them to remove. It's worse than that though, because you can ask like logical questions. Like you can say, is the fault, is this, if I run this command, will this happen? And it could be like a, yes or no. And the AI model, if you're filtering the output, you won't know. Like the keyword you're searching for won't be in there. You will own nothing, you'll be happy. Or maybe you will own nothing and you'll be unhappy. Tell me you've watched the show Silicon Valley. If not, cease all productive activity immediately and watch it. I have actually seen clips of it on YouTube. I've actually seen quite a few clips of that show on YouTube. I haven't ever watched the series, but that show is interesting to me because it's the only fictional depiction of like programmers that I've ever seen that like actually matches what programmers and tech people are like in real life. Every other work of fiction is it's just like shows like The Big Bang Theory. In my experience, The Big Bang Theory does not actually match. Like there are very few personalities that I know who match the personalities of people in Big Bang Theory. There are many ways to accomplish this, but it's easiest to do for open source models. That's how a lot of people made uncensored models. I'm trying to find the name of a popular method for you. Even so, though, like imagine you have a Chinese model that has like a bunch of stolen images in it, and you're doing some like image generation. Like if you tell the Chinese model generate an image, of like a tomato that's blue or something like that, and it generates this image, and then that image is used as training data, or like it's used to answer like a yes/no question in like a Western model. But one of the image sources that's used in this AI image data, like there's no way that information is not transmitted. And then especially if when you distill some of these models down to like a set of weights and stuff like that, the copyright information on the weighting, on like the partial weightings and the gradients, is not there. So if these AI models start talking to each other, there's no way to transmit this information. It's just it's going to get out of control. Arnie says, you will own nothing and be happy. Disagreeing with him is unpatriotic. Elbows up. All right, I guess I better put my elbows up. DPC can generate an image of a blue waffle. Do you believe dead internet theory will kill, disable future, more advanced AI in the future? Even if the models get better, the data is worse. I don't think it'll kill them, but it'll maybe just make them converge to a point where they stop getting better. But then, of course, all the companies that are behind all these things they'll have tons of money, and so they'll figure out ways to get new data. I mean, that's why I think stuff like streaming or like video production on YouTube, like my blog posts get basically zero traffic now, and like all the effort I put into those is kind of wasted. But the effort put into doing stuff like this there's actually something that comes from it. And I think that's because like I would say most people can still be reasonably certain that this broadcast right now is not AI, and that's really like if you guys suddenly found out that this was AI, then everyone would just leave, and then nobody would watch it anymore. Nobody wants to consume AI slop. See, I just lost one viewer. That's because somebody assumed that this must be AI. What we can think of is a lot of non-ClearNet forums do, which is to have users wait in the queue before they access it. So you could theoretically stop the problem at the source by making crawling harder. I don't know about that. I think it's kind of just going to be an unsolvable problem. But on that note, it's past midnight. I should probably call it a night. So I raised a little bit towards my goals of world domination. Tomorrow, Saturday, is my usual streaming day, so I'll be back on tomorrow. I'll have to figure out. Maybe I'll do some coding tomorrow. I'll continue work on getting the compiling process working with the IDE. All right, see you guys later then. Have a good night.